Good. So this
You
time we're
know,
back.
you know, going live is always a risky business.
It's always a risky business. I agree, Andrew. I mean, today I'm going to have to cut that first part on the YouTube video, but for anyone following us, and we have already some people in Twitch, I truly apologize. I'm going to restart and I'm going to give you the welcome to the GDE show, episode 4. Absolutely without no problems going live, just 11 minutes late because I don't know, maybe one of the showrunners didn't properly have the microphones plugged today. I am experimenting, I have to say. I have new hardware coming in today, and of course, new hardware, it's always new problems, as it couldn't be in any other way. So obviously we have a wonderful guest today, once more, Laura Morillo. But of course, Laura is gonna have to suffer through our delusions of grandeur and of funny, that Andrew and I are gonna try to have something similar to a monologue, as we try to do every single week. So Andrew, I believe that the topic for this week, it's an interesting one, right? It's episode
For
4 already. 4 times we
four,
tried
but
this.
no, but I'm gonna say four double characters. I'm gonna say scarcity, scarcity,
A
scarcity,
scarcity is the topic
scarcity.
of the week.
Topic of the week.
So
So
what are you thinking
following.
about? Are you already onto NFTs? I finally convinced you, or what
Uh,
scarcity are you talking about this week?
Believe me, all my script is there.
That's amazing. I mean, now you see, I like this though, because today is the first show where we are sharing with our viewers a little bit of the process, and yeah, it's as terrible as it looks.
No, no, this is not true. Usually we have a more convincing, I hope, script than this one. But this one is going to be good, as you say before we enter the stream, because this is going to be a little bit more natural. So let's talk about scarcity. What do you think? Because you've trained for a few weeks to convince people to go into your NFT lovely business. Have you have any kind of luck? Could you please share it with us, or maybe you don't want?
No, I mean, I'm happy to share. So I dedicated literally 4 days, Saturday, Sunday of 2 consecutive weeks, so 4 days only, yeah, a scarce time. So I also, a scarcity on time, it's also important. And I created 100cryptostars.com, and I was trying to sell 100 stars at zero point 0.2 Ethereum. They are randomly, beautifully generated stars. The reason is not other because I wanted to buy a car, so I thought I needed to, some extra money. So I realized I'm gonna learn something that I can do in 2 weekends and see if I can, put my brain to good use. On that
If I can
things.
get a Tesla for 2 weekends, you're saying it
That's
perfectly
what I
clear.
that's what I was trying. No
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah. No
That's
kidding.
what I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
trying. So the result is
Believe
that
you.
I earned 4 Ethereum in the first 2 weeks so far.
Four?
Four
That's
Ethereum.
something about, let me calculate, something like 100 euros or $120.
Actually, no, 4 Ethereum. They are right now at around 1,800. So that is a little bit more than $7,000 in the last 2 weeks
7,000.
selling digital stars.
This is what you say publicly in Twitter, I think a few weeks ago, or no, I don't remember. But anyway, I know I
Crazy.
will talk.
Crazy.
I want to talk about scarcity because you
Please.
get that almost a quarter of the, I don't know which Tesla do you want to go for, but you get a quarter of the car already. But then there
Basically.
is there are more scarcities going on, something like the components, electronics scarcity. I mean, what's going on, man? What's happening? Is the problem of this very big ship that is already stranded in the middle of the Sahara?
So I am actually kind of surprised on this because I was expecting, right, and I saw the other day a video on this. I was expecting definitely that the pandemic will cause logistic issues, and on my main business, the one that runs well and not depend on selling digital stars, we move
It
screens all
was
over
the
the world,
wine,
right? Sorry?
not the pandemic. It was the wine.
No, it wasn't the pandemic or the wine. In this case, it wasn't the pandemic or the wine. I mean, the reason why there are no components, no graphic cards, no CPUs is because people are buying them all. I mean, they are at home with their computers. I see a lot of new and shiny equipment on Laura's too. I know, Andreu, that you always are buying new equipment. So the fact of the scarcity with the physical hardware, it's us. I mean, we have been purchasing absolutely everything. And it's funny because we all thought that, oh, my phone is going to do it. My tablet is going to do it. You know, I don't need a computer anymore. I have a PC. Unless you are in your home for a year. And if you see...
Let me cry.
I mean,
I'm
sorry,
no, I need to cry because... I need to cry because just this week, a little piece of my tea go to my Pixel book, my lovely Pixel book, and there is no more Pixel book. So I have to go into the market to get a new Pixel book. And this scarcity of components is gonna, I don't want to say the word publicly, but it's not that very good. But also I would like to end this lovely conversation. I would like to talk about another scarcity. Maybe, please. What do you think? What do you think about our own scarcity of listeners or viewers? How many people are seeing or listening to these lovely conversations we have with great, amazing GDEs like Laura Morillo today with us? What do you think?
We were commenting that, right? And it's been very interesting. We had an internal meeting not long ago with all the kind of broadcasters that we have at GDE, at GDG Spain. And we were talking precisely about that, on how hard it is to make people listen anymore, and or even to have people that want to talk anymore on that piece. Oh my God, I love that. I love that. I mean, that's the best merchandising that we have ever designed, Andreu, and that's saying something. I'm telling you. But it's funny, right? I believe that after so long, people is getting tired of the online events on that aspect, and it's getting harder and harder to reach that people, right? And we were talking about the different experiments. Sorry, Andreu, please.
No. Wait, man. Scarcity is really a marketing strategy. Believe me. So we are doing this. Okay. We are doing this just because we will make a very amazing jump to the thousands of live viewers, and also you will make a jump and you can get 5 Teslas, not 4, but 5 Teslas. This is the point. Scarcity. Marketing strategy.
You know what? That makes actually our viewers very, very special, because imagine the profile, right, of someone that is able to listen to us week after week, trying and failing to be funny. We should make an NFT of every single viewer that is looking. So it's actually pretty impressive. You know, the last
very good idea.
Actually, you know, I mean, I think it's
let's do the other way. Instead of doing something graphical, why not you get some kind of voice very shortcut of this lovely streaming we're doing today. NFT sound. I'm not pretty sure that this. I don't remember what's the name of this crazy network, new social network around sound that I don't have because I don't have an iPhone. What's the sound? I never remember.
Oh no,
Clubhouse. Clubhouse. So imagine. I'm pretty sure the people from Clubhouse will buy your NFT with our songs. Like crazy, because they like the sound. So go for it, man. What, Andreu, and remember, Laura and me, we want only a piece.
I'm gonna put a stop to it. I'm really sorry, because there is only one last thing in terms of a scarcity that I want to talk, and is patient speakers that will listen to us with a smile while we talk. And on that, we have a unique star today, which is Laura Morillo. Laura, thank you for your patience. And finally, welcome to the GDE show. I am very happy to have you here. How is everything going?
Hello, it's a pleasure for me to be here too.
Wonderful, wonderful. I have to say that she's an excellent liar too. We force her, of course. No, thank you very much, Laura. Thank you very much for coming. So, Laura, you know how the show works, right? And I believe one of the main things that it's making these conversations very interesting is that we focus on things that usually you don't see our GDEs speak about on other places, right? And it's kind of the superhero origin story. We really like to know how the GDEs became interested in technology, and then proficient in technology, and finally an expert, right, on that aspect. So for us, those origin stories are kind of something that has become the leitmotif of the show as we go week after week. So first of all, for our viewers that don't know you, and I believe that everyone should know Laura, but first of all, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit on who you are, what do you do, and of course, what is your area of GDE expertise?
Okay, well, I'm Laura Morillo Twitter, and I work as a tech lead for a startup based in Madrid. And I've been working with a lot of different technologies for around 12 years now. I mostly work with backend technologies, but in the end, I work with a bit of everything. And something that I usually love is the kind of companies like startups. That's why I try to work for one. And why I like them? Because you need to do a lot of things. You learn a lot of things on your way. And when I started working at seedtag, I didn't have to only work on the backend. I also had to work on the infrastructure part. So we started working with Kubernetes and with a lot of different tools from Google Cloud. And that's how I started gaining some more experience with the Google Cloud. And after a while, I managed to become a Google developer expert for the cloud area.
We are definitely gonna be talking about your work experience, right? And those different startups. Obviously, selling digital stars is not my main business. I have a startup too. Thank God, because I couldn't do that. But I love that this is something that we see a lot as a recurrent topic too. And it's most of our GDEs that have come through the show, and right, Andreu, all of them have been loving and wearing many different hats over the years, right? None of them were married to the same technology for all of their careers. We have that curiosity in common, I think.
Not only curiosity, but I am pleased to say that I am the only person in the world that when salutes Laura always does in the same way. She's the only girl I know that has a triple acronym on his behind. I mean, she's GDG organizer, she's Women Techmakers organizer, and also, of course, she's GDE. So, Laura, you've got plenty of different roles to do. And I'm pretty sure we're not going to be talking about today, but I'm sure that you're going to have some more acronyms soon.
Soon. So, yeah, it looks like I have too much free time and I need to invest it in something else.
You don't have it? So, you mean you make the typical day, not 24, but 30 hours?
Yeah, more or less.
That is honestly another recurring topic on this is the use of time that we do. We are kind of I wouldn't call it workaholics because for us, work and our hobbies are sometimes so similarly entangled, because the reality is that our friends, our communities, our hobbies, and our work in the end ended up being all in one and the same. And with that, Laura, I have kind of the first question, right? If you want, for you, in terms of the communities that you run, you obviously have. Because Andreas has put those three acronyms, right? You have kind of those three very different types of community: Women Techmakers, the Google developer groups, and then kind of this group of selected by Google developer experts. Why did you get involved with the community? What is the thing that you love of being part of those communities? Why so many acronyms, and looking to add more to that list?
Well, I have been involved with different communities for a lot of years. I started with the Agile Spain community, for example, but not organizing. And I realized how much I could learn belonging to a community. So at some point, I decided that I wanted to try to give back at least a bit. Now that I think that I have a position where I can, because probably you not always feel like you can give something, even if probably you can. So the first community that I tried to push, it was a community called AgileGirls. And it was a community that was born mainly around the Agile community, and with the idea of trying to provide more visibility to the women that we had around us. We noticed that we didn't have too many women when we were to the events or things like that. I could also realize sometimes when I talk to another women in tech, and I was maybe thinking to go to some event, and sometimes they could feel afraid to go and being the only women in the room. So as I noticed things like that, we started to create a small community mostly focused on women. So when I heard from someone from Google, I won't say his name
No,
today.
please, you have to do it.
You
And you're
have to
smiling
do it.
because
I
you
mean,
know that we are on the minute. What minute it is?
yeah.
Let's count it.
We want the
We are on the
insider
minute.
track. We want the
We are
insider
at
information. You have to
22
say it.
minutes. You have to say it. You have to name it. Name it. Name it.
So
Name him.
I went to it was I think it's a big data talk in Google offices, and Almo introduced the GDG. He also introduced a group that they were creating here in Spain that it's called Teca Ladies, and they wanted to try to find more women who would like to be organizers and try to push some things. So I joined them because of that. So I started working first with Tech and Ladies. After that, we decided to change to the movement Women Techmakers, because when we started with the Tech and Ladies, Women Techmakers was only a yearly event organized on San Francisco the night before Google I/O, and after that they decided to launch a whole program based on that idea of providing resources for women in tech. So I started with Tech and Ladies and Women Techmaker, and I decided to also be a full-time GDG organizer, not only focused on diversity, but also focused on trying to be involved with any kind of content of the community.
So
Amazing.
you are still, or you are back now to doing stuff with the ladies, Tech and Ladies brand, because I think for a few years this brand was not. I mean, the community that initially started the movement was a little bit slow, and then explain a little bit about your new enterprise on this Tech and Ladies.
Yeah, a few months ago, we a group of women from the community, we wanted to try to start also a new podcast, and now that we cannot do events in person, so we wanted to continue pushing and providing more visibility in a continuous way. And we decided to go back to our roots. So instead of continue pushing the Women Techmaker brands, that I think that probably it's kind of well now in a lot of places, because Google and the community has been doing a lot of noise to ensure that everyone knows that brand. We wanted to go back to our roots and use again that Tech and Ladies movement. So we decided to launch the Tech and Ladies podcast. We are recording podcasts and publishing them the 1st and the 15th of every month.
So think about, we are going back also to the scarcity situation, because think about Laura and his other colleagues started the podcast no time ago. How many episodes have you already developed? How many?
6, I think. No, yeah.
So plenty of content.
Nice.
That's
So
very
we
good.
are
Communities
almost on the-
are doing plenty of stuff. That's amazing.
No, and it's really nice to see, right, how that's kind of increasing. To kind of close kind of that first topic, if you want, of the interview, right? And you mentioned a lot on and it kind of it triggered immediately, because I've heard that story before of being the only lady in the room, right? Of being the only woman in the room when on those first events many years ago. We have seen a change, right? I mean, that it's obviously has improved over the years on that. Why do you think the improvements are happening, and what is left to be done, right? I know that there is a lot of people involved and worried on that. So what do you think? Is there an improvement? Do you see more people joining on those events, and what is left to be done? If you have to recommend event organizers, other GDEs, other GDGs, other tech communities, what needs to be done next?
Well, about the improvements, I'm pretty sure that yes, that we have made a lot of improvements, and now it's kind of easier. Probably also because the communities are now a tool that we didn't have before. So probably that feeling of belonging a community makes easier for anyone to feel welcome to a meetup or to join any kind of session. But not everyone managed to get that. And I think that probably the advice that I would give, it would be to keep that in mind, because currently it's not going to be still easy, even if it's easier than before to be able to reach a diverse audience. You still need to work on that, and you still need to focus some of your efforts to get that. Because if you don't try to work a bit harder to get a diverse audience, then you are going to continue having the same kind of audience always. That's not going to change. So if you used to have only male panel and attendees, if you don't change anything, then that's not going to change by itself.
So it's exactly what's going on with us. You are the fourth person coming to the show. The very first three were males, and you are the first female here. Also because you are a friend of us, and we know that you are a very reachable person. But the point is that we make a open call. We receive something like 40 or 50 applications, and no other. There was another girl, Victor? I don't remember. There was any other girl?
I believe that out of the 50, we have 3, maybe 4 female GDEs. Out of that first call, right? We have three or four female GDEs that came there. And actually, that's another good question, right? And is, I don't know, in the global community of GDEs, how many males and females do we have at the moment? Because I don't know if our response to the form was something that it was skewed, or it's because the community that we were calling to was skewed in advance of that. But definitely something that immediately caught our attention, right, when we put the form out.
Yeah, so let's gonna change a little bit the way of the show. And Laura, we always, and you know, because you already listen us, I hope at least one time. We always want to know and to make public whatever words you can say about you, about your life, about your own personal experience on the where you was born, where do you live, what do you study, because this is the forge where the person that teaches you now with all of the acronyms and your experience and your etc. has been forged. So explain us a little bit for the audience that do not know you, where do you started and how it was at a personal level.
And please do not left out your first experience with technology as a kid, because we love those. We really love those. And we want to know the first time that your eyes went like this watching some piece of technology.
Well, I'm from Córdoba, and well, I lived in Córdoba up to I was 20 years old, I think, as far as I remember. And after that, I moved to Madrid when I was already studying at university. But my relation with technology, it was kind of weird because I didn't see it as an option for a job for me. I used to have a computer near because, well, my father, he works at the university, and at the university they usually provide them with tools, computer, laptops. So I had something of technology around since I was I don't know exactly the age, but since pretty young, and I used to play with it. I remember once that the teacher, I think that I was 10 years old or 11 years old, and the teacher asked me to kind of use the computer to write some notes so we could print them and give those notes to the whole class. And I did it because I had been using the computer for a long time. So I had some writing experience. I didn't need my father to do that. And when she knew that it had been me who had been done that instead of my father, she was like, wow. It was like, come on, I've been writing with the computer. I've not taken any typing classes like a lot of people used to do, at least before. Now I think that it's not that common for people to do typing classes. But I was a user. I never thought that could be something for me until I reached the, I forgot the name in English, high studies.
Yeah, university, right? So like kind of your college years, or
yeah, just before the university.
uh-huh.
And I have an optional subject there that it was about programming with Visual Basic at the time.
Oh,
we are getting to interesting stuff.
Yeah. It was 1.0, it was 2, it was 3. What Visual Basic was your first?
Wow, I don't remember.
But you see, developers will never ask you for your age. Developers will ask you for the version of your computing language when you started, and we will know your age anyway. It's so funny.
I still have the version of the 1.0 manual of the Visual Basic.
I do too. My dad brought it for me from London. Sorry, Laura, we interrupted you. Go ahead.
So yeah, for me, discovering what I could do programming at that moment, it was the wow moment, and it was really funny because we had to do a final work. A final exercise. We could implement anything that we wanted. I had thought to implement a small kind of game. I like games, so I decided to do something really simple. And at the end, I decided to do 2 final works. Because one day, my sister, she was living in Madrid at that moment, and she came to Cordoba, and when she had to go back to Madrid, she had her bus ticket. So she went to the bus, and when she arrived, the company had sold twice the ticket.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that thing happened. Okay.
No, another joke. It was they made the programming Visual Basic.
Probably. Overbooking. I mean, I am from Mallorca. We know overbooking very well.
Yeah. But at that moment, I thought, okay, then couldn't I do some kind of system, some ticketing system, a small ticketing system that to ensure that they don't sell the same ticket twice? So I ended implementing a kind of ticketing tool with discounts and everything like that. And it was like, okay, so with this, I can solve a real problem.
Wow.
So it's something useful, and it's something that I can do it on my own. So that was my wow moment. And when I decided, hey, maybe I can do something with this.
So I don't know if you want to share, but I think it's a good moment. If you want, you preciously contributed to our past event of International Women's Day a few days ago, this past week in Lleida with Women Techmakers Lleida, and you make a little, as usual, because you've been helping us for the 3 years we've been doing this event, and you make a short 2 minutes video that share an experience. Could you please share it with us, because it's also very, very important. I think you want to share it. Maybe
sure, yeah.
Go for it.
Nice.
The thing is that at the end of the high studies, we had a dinner with all the teachers and all the mates that we had. And one of the teachers that I had when I started studying there, as I changed a bit my path, because when I started, I didn't know what to do. I discovered what I could do with computer science, and then I changed to the technological branch. So one of my teacher approached me that night and said me, you are not going to finish the computer science career because that's not for you. You should probably study something related to languages or translation, something related to that. It's probably better for you. So I was like, wow. Okay.
Oh my God.
Thank you. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with the students that could see that. So
you shared a little piece more of information. That was very nice. Sure, go for it. It's already public on the network.
Andreu, it's fishing for a very specific fact, and if I know he won't stop.
No. I didn't make a script with Laura. Laura always does very, very nice videos, and she shared with us that.
But which part? I don't remember exactly.
I'm pretty sure. The part was that after this, you say to the professor, you were not right, man. I'm an engineer. I'm in computer science, and you were wrong.
Yeah, I said, I'm sorry, teacher. I finished my career, well, my studies, my university studies of computer science, and this has been my career for more than 12 years. So I'm sorry, you were wrong.
I actually hope that fact will stop him or her, I don't know and I don't want to know, will stop him or her to ever recommend to anyone what to study, I mean, hopefully you did a favor to many future students by doing that, because that's not the, I mean, if your teacher is not supportive with you, screw them so much. And it's kind of, but it shows you, right, that will of a spirit, that when you love something, you're unstoppable, right? There is no way that a comment, even from a respected teacher or an unrespected one, will kind of move you out of the path. No, so thank you for sharing that. And again, I mean, those first experiences, right? It marks you quite a bit, or even those first challenges. And in this case, this sounds like a challenge to me on that aspect. What would you say that has been the number one challenge? If you look at your career, was it social? Was it technical? What would you say that has been the number one challenge that you have encountered over your years working?
I think that diversity probably it's one of those, because when you start with something like that in mind, luckily I'm not someone who usually take what someone tells me as that's the truth, but I hear and I consider what you are saying, but I don't trust on your opinion more on my own, because if you go to start studying something after having been said something like that, like, no, that's not for you. And when I arrived to the first year of my university studies, we were 10 women in a class of more than 100 people. Then maybe that's something that kind of hits you again and say, okay, if it's true that this is not for me. So I kind of understand why sometimes some women can leave this path, because maybe if they have this kind of advice coming from someone, a bad advice for sure, but they think that they are providing the best advice maybe at that moment, and then you face this kind of reality, then probably that hits you even more and could make you wonder, am I in the right place or not? I also could see some other women that during the career leaving to change to math, for example, and she was, I think, that the best one in the class, and she finished part of the career, and after that she decided to go for math. Maybe it's simply because she preferred that, but I don't know. That could be also kind of a step that you need to
Yeah, right.
go through
Because
it.
when there is one case is one thing, but if there is one case after another, one
Mm.
story after another, obviously the problem is systemic, right? I mean, it's not a one time thing on having
Mm.
those, and it shouldn't require that extra power of will, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that, because how many good brains and excellent female engineers are we losing because of the
Mm.
context, right? On that aspect. And I've been there is an organization I know well and we support from MashMe and now from the GDE show. We're gonna put it here a small marketing stuff, which is Adalab, and we have actually an Adalab engineer from that, right, where they kind of do the opposite thing, and is they take women that wouldn't have known of technology, of the work possibilities of that piece, and they transform them. So they try to do the exact opposite, right? They try to create stories of the opposite, of the opposite way of going back on those things. And I believe hopefully, again, I mean, if there are teachers like that, then we need to put a lot more Lauras in front of a lot of many young women, so they can understand that there is plenty of things, right, to do on that aspect. But it's funny, right, that if you ask someone else, probably they will have like a technical challenge, right? We were only last week we were talking with a GDE that because of the economical environment didn't touch a computer till he was very old in terms of our most of our experiences, and still have that piece. So challenges change quite a bit, right? But there is always something to overcome if you want to still kind of reach those points, and that's super interesting to me.
It
I
was
know.
it was a
Sorry.
it was a nice moment in the GD show because this guy explained us that he was doing the programming on paper for a long time, just
Wow.
with his brain and on paper, because he has no access to the computer. He was on a school very years and years after. So it was the very beginning to get some books, and he's now writing books on computing.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing story.
It's a good kind of piece, right? And same here, right? We had someone disencouraging Laura, and now Laura is here encouraging others. So it's I like these reversal stories. They are extremely powerful.
To name him, it was Wahahat Karim,
Karim.
with GDE Andreu, that comes to the last episode 3. Let's go back to the GDE, Laura. So at this moment, could you please explain us what are your activities in this pandemic moment about your GDE? Only GDE. Don't leave the other branch now behind. So what are you doing as GDE now in this moment for experiencing the world? Because you are GDE Cloud. We haven't said that. This is very important. You are a cloud girl. So
Yes.
take care with this. It's nothing. I don't want to get minimize other ones, but being GD of XML is something like very simple for me. But being GD of I'm looking at you, Victor. Believe me, because you are GD HTML5, so it is a little bit more difficult. But being cloud of GD Cloud, for me, it's something like amazing, because cloud is something very complicated, and it has many different sides of the technology. So explain us a little bit about this.
Well, I have to say that to be a GDE Cloud, you don't need to know everything about the
Of course.
cloud.
It is impossible to know everything about the cloud.
You have to human can. Yes, right?
No, just if you browse the Google console about cloud, you get mad, and every week they change the console, so you get mad twice. So go ahead.
And currently what I'm doing is mostly some presentations, podcast, and also we have started recently a mentoring program. And also soon we will be launching probably some activities related to the Google Cloud certifications. So trying to help with all of that.
And go back to the non-pandemic time. What was your kind of activity? Let's make some revival. We need that. What we do before?
Yeah, but
Before the
mostly
pandemic.
public speaking at conferences.
Ah,
I love
probably.
that. I miss that a lot.
It's not the same behind on a
Yeah.
camera and a mic. A lovely mic you have, I know.
The
And
reality is that we all we speakers, right? People believe that we do this for the kudos, to give back to the community, etc. There is only one reason that we accept to go to conferences, and it's the beers and tapas and dinners after the conferences. That's the reason we do it. I mean, that's why you study, why you prepare the conferences, why do you expose yourself and speak in front of hundreds of people. There is only one reason, and it's the dinners that we have afterwards. That's why we do it.
For me, it's way more complicated to sit in front of the camera to give a presentation of something. It should be easier because you are not nervous, because you don't get, I don't know, 200 pair of eyes looking at you. But for me, it's more difficult because I truly missed and I truly try to use the feedback that I get while I'm talking. I try to look to people's faces to see if they are following me, if they are maybe feeling a bit sleepy at that moment, if they need at some point a small kind of joke, something to break the topic that I'm saying at that moment, things like that. And missing that for me, it's really, really complicated for me. It's kind of way more boring to give a presentation. That's why probably I'm doing now way less than I used to do. And I really hope that we can go back soon.
so let's go back for a minute. And you say that, Victor, you say that the best moment is the after conferences with the tapas and so on. But let me introduce two different meals, because I used to go to, I also am a speaker like you too, and I go places, very strange places sometimes, and for years I used to go suddenly to Turkey, because I have plenty of friends there, and they were starting the communities, and I go to Turkey several times a year. So believe me, when you listen to the word kebab, you don't know nothing about kebab till you have been on a Turkish restaurant or going to Turkey. So kebabs are amazing. And also the last one I want to say to remember is that we went, in this case, at least Laura, me, Victor, I don't remember if you have been there, but you are also coming from an island. We went, I will say, suddenly to Tenerife in Canary Islands for doing public conferences. We went there for the GDG Summit, the GDE Spain Summit, and also for the Tenerife Party event. And there we have the Wachinches stuff that we tackled recently with Almo and Nicolas Patarino in the Developers Cafe. And if you haven't been in a Wachinche, it's also a must, because it's a Spanish food, but from the very south of Spanish. It's a very different food, an amazing one. So the food and the beers, of course, is the most important after the conference, and to look at the eyes of the people that are listening.
We have a comment on the chat telling, tell the truth, you all miss the party. We do too. I mean, we definitely do. I mean, we definitely do.
Colette is right, of course. The party is after the dinner, after the drinks. Start the hard drinks on the party.
I mean,
Hello, Colette.
That is, by the way, by the way, if you are on the chat and you have a question, feel free to ask them, because we will definitely tell them to the speaker, and you will have your answers. So if you have a question, please feel free to ask. But Laura, you mentioned, right, cloud, as it happens, by the way, Andreu, with web technologies, is very, very big. There is plenty, and it's impossible for any human to do that. So I would like to know, out of the very big kind of Google Cloud aspect, what are the 2 or 3 technologies that you feel like super confident, and why, right? Which are the ones that you selected to kind of go really deep into? And then I also always ask this question to anyone: what is the technology that has nothing to do with your day-to-day work, but that is, your weekend passion? What is the technology that you shouldn't be looking at, but you do anyway? So I want to know both. Which are the ones that you actually do, but every GD has this kind of side tech that we are always looking at? Which one is yours?
The ones that I mostly use, those are probably related to Kubernetes and some virtual machines. Also, everything related to cloud functions, Dataproc, also some databases, things like that. I've been using some of those from Google Cloud. And something that I like, I'm not expert at all, but I try to have an eye every now and then, is with the machine learning APIs and things like that, because for me it's incredible how much you can do only knowing a bit of the APIs and getting also some being able to build something with those APIs and those libraries related to machine learning, because I also try to learn a bit from TensorFlow, but I know that probably I lack a lot of the machine learning background that my teammates they have. But that's something that for me is really interesting.
So now
I
we
wanted
know
to
what
make-
is the weekend technology that Laura is looking at after and before the show. That's awesome.
Victor, I wanted to make another joke. My English is not so perfect,
You
but
are gonna try, is what you're saying. Okay,
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to make another joke. Think about there are GDEs that makes all his career around a technology in web technologies like JavaScript. And you know what person I'm talking about. So maybe this is the moment to invite at some point to Carlos Azaustre to come to our GDE show in the future. Maybe
Absolutely.
we will
Yeah.
publish this lovely moment talking about simple technologies, just being JavaScript. Everything is JavaScript. All of a full world is only about JavaScript. So JavaScript seems to be a short thing, but no, he makes it. It is amazingly
So massively big, right? So massively big. No,
Yeah.
and it's funny because Carlos also a Spaniard. This is the first time that we try to do this, and I realized that it's incredibly hard because Andrew and I have been speaking with people that do not speak Spanish, and it's been easier to not talk to Spanish or to even in Catalan to Andreu. But today, the three of us being Spaniard, for my brain to speak in English, I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but it's been so hard. And so if we look like idiots today, it's because we are much smarter in Spanish, okay? Like super much smarter in Spanish than we are.
You mean we are
I'm
scarce?
talking about
Scarce
Andreu and
in
I, by the
words.
way.
Scarce and words.
Yeah.
Scarcity in words also.
Today we are.
No.
Sure.
I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, I remember something that someone told me, because I used to work with some Dutch people, and we used to meet there. And I remember sometimes that we were a group of people, and suddenly one of them turned to talk to another Dutch guy and say, and start talking in Dutch. And it was like, oh, I'm sorry, but every time that I look at him, my brain changes, and even if I don't want to, then I change the language. So I think that for us, it's probably something like that. We are used to talk to each other in Spanish, and then talking to them in English. It's kind of like, okay, I need to remember that we are not talking only for us, but for
I do
anyone.
the same. I mean, every time I need to start talking, I look at the GDG logo instead of your face, because if I do, I'm gonna start talking in Spanish for sure. So it's like, and then I switch. But first I'm looking at the logo and then I switch back, because if not, it is impossible to do. It is impossible to do it. I have, at least for me, Andrea, I have one last question for
Go for it.
For Laura, and it's, Laura, you have mentioned, right, these kind of very broad technologies, and but you also mentioned that kind of a small company feeling, which I absolutely shared, and I wanted to ask you a little bit more, if you don't mind, about that piece. What is it about startups, about the small company feelings, other than obviously having multiple hats? Why, right? Why that small companies? Because that's one of the things that we also have seen a lot on the GDEs. We are kind of the pirates with the sword on the mouth. We really like to get muddy, we really like to get into the fight, and startups are all about that. So what is it for you that make a small companies attractive to do tech?
I think that probably it's the feeling of knowing that you are truly contributing and being able to realize the impact of the things that you build there. Because if it's a too big company, probably even if you do something that could have a big impact, if it's, I don't know, if you are working for Gmail. Probably it's a big product with a lot of things. Noticing the change that you have done maybe could not have this big impact. But if you are working for a startup, sometimes something that you bring to the table, you can also contribute in different levels. You are not close to, in our case, we are not close to the technical side. We have also kind of quite flat structure. So we can always discuss with anyone in the company, hey, why don't we build this? So you can also provide ideas. And I think that it's amazing to be able to contribute at so many different levels and to see how much impact you can also provide to a company.
That's amazing, and I totally agree. Thank you for sharing that with us. I have to say that I didn't anticipate it that we will end as we started with a scarcity. In this case of time, I would speak with Laura much longer, but we have been running already a little bit more than we used to. But it's because Laura has so much and so good to say.
You can say the truth, and we always say the truth, Victor. We do that because we cannot be together, so we do the GDE show like we're in a bar talking about things. So that's the point.
If you are watching this, you are our excuse for us to talk. Is what Andreu is saying. I'm so sorry, but that is the reason. That is the reason why we do that.
Well, maybe we will not have this some of the pieces of the conversation that like this one.
That is true.
But we need hooks at least not too much further in the time, as Nicolas Patarino says always. Let's hope that the pandemic is starting to slow down, not at this moment, at least in Spain, at least in other parts of the world. If you are watching us from Brazil, please do not listen your manager, your boss, because this is not going well. And I think it's been a pretty nice conversation with you, Laura. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us today. And please, before we end, make another card respect to your podcast, because I think it's very important to share. It's in Spanish, as far as I know.
If you're watching the recording, we will link it for you.
Yeah. Tell us what kind of things you talk in the podcast and so on.
In this case, as Andreu said, it's in Spanish, and it's Tech and Ladies podcast. You can find it in Anchor, in Spotify, in Apple Podcasts, and the main points. And if you don't find it in your preferred network, you can always reach to Tech and Ladies Twitter and tell us, hey, I really want to listen to you, but I cannot find you in. Insert here the place, and we will find the way to publish it there too, because we want to.
And also maybe you want to make a call for girls to speak there, because
yes, we also have a form published in the Tech and Ladies account. So anyone is able to share, okay, I would like to talk about this, and we include a question about, okay, do you want to participate with us in the podcast, or do you simply want us to look for someone to talk about that? And we try to follow that. We have been inviting for the last podcast to some women that fill that form. And because of that, we have been talking about Java. I'm announcing it that, but it's not published yet, because it will be published next week.
Ooh, we got
an exclusive.
Woo, festival.
We have also talked about Scrum, also about diverse language. We have been talking about excellence programs launched by the different companies, like the Google Developer Expert, because there are also other programs similar in Microsoft, in Amazon, wherever. So a lot of different things related to technology, and always trying to provide visibility to women in those fields.
So we will put the links on there or YouTube list.
Absolutely, definitely.
And make publicity of it too. And Victor, if you want to say the last word, we are.
I think, my last word is thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you, Andreu, as always, to be with us. Thank you, Laura, for sharing with you and with us. And with all of our viewers, your experiences. It's been quite awesome. I left one last homework for everyone that is watching us, especially young girls watching us. We didn't comment, but I love the Ada Lovelace poster that you have on that bag. If you don't know who that is, you definitely should Google that name right away, because that's I realized too late, because if not, I would definitely would have put it as part of the interview. But we leave you homework, dear viewer. Google that immediately, okay? Google that immediately. You have to. Again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your time. We will be back in 2 weeks with episode number 5 already. I'm gonna need the rights for Mambo number 5 for the next one, so I'm gonna start looking on that. With that said, thank you all. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you. Bye bye.